Good morning. Can you hear me, Andrew?
I can. Can you hear
Good.
me?
Yes, sir.
Good. I must have accidentally set everybody to have their cameras turned off.
Oh, that's why I can't see myself.
Yeah, sorry about that. It's a checkbox that I
Andrew,
unchecked.
Well, listen, I see myself a lot, so I don't really. Morning, Scott.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey,
Gina,
Jessica. Gina.
Hey. Here we go.
Everyone have a happy new year.
Yes.
There we go. Everybody's safe and well.
Yes, so far so good.
Well, the hour is here. You're live and recording.
Okay, so we're ready to go. Why don't we go ahead and call our meeting to order? If Scott, I'm pulling up the agenda out of those many attachments that you sent to us this month. I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. And Jessica, if you could let minutes reflect that we have a proxy from Dr. Hub. Glad to have Gina here with us.
Thank you.
Judge is present and I'm present. Since I'm operating with an agenda right in front of me, Scott, I'm sure we're ready to approve the minutes of our last regularly scheduled meeting. Is there a motion for approval of those minutes?
I'll make that motion to approve the minutes from the 12/16 meeting.
Thank you, Judge.
I'll second that.
All right. If there are no additions or corrections, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And are there any opposed? Thank you. Then the minutes are approved. Oh, thank you, Scott. That's very helpful. Next item of business on our agenda is surplus property order, review, discussion, and approval. Assume these are all move related, Scott?
Yes. So everyone see this?
Mhm.
This is our surplus order. We have some items, as you can see. It's mostly technology that we would prefer not to move to the old place because it's, or to the new place because it's old and we don't need it. So we're requesting approval to proceed with the sale of these items.
Seems very routine. And then your disposal method will be our online portal, Scott.
Yes, Mayor, that's correct.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the proposal for surplus property.
Thank you, Judge.
I will second that.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Thank you. Scott, our Sturgill Turner engagement.
Yes, so now you should see on the shared screen the Sturgill Turner engagement letter. This has to do with taxpayer we've talked about at many prior meetings. This particular taxpayer owes us in excess of $430,000. And we have decided to engage Sturgill Turner, so we need approval on this. Andrew and Jessica, do you want to speak more about this particular move that we're making?
So we're kind of doing dual duty here. You know, we've been gearing up to start legal collections on a bunch of open cases, but this is our most significant one, and it's sort of the most legally complex. What we figure is we'll kill two birds with one stone. We'll collect on a really important case, but we'll also use Sturgill Turner to help us develop some standard forms and kind of walk us through some of the pitfalls and kind of get a template set up for the rest of our collections work. It's going to, you know, it's a down payment on a future of good collections work. I think it's worth it. And we know and trust the Sturgill Turner folks, so we're recommending it as a best practice.
And I would just add that this specific account, which, we're going to do some general work, as Andrew said, but this specific account is on their third notice from us. So, after the third notice is, when we would like to commence action in these larger accounts. And so we have exhausted that. But, that period doesn't run until the 2/11. So I think that's important as well. Our third period of notice is February the 11th. So pending some kind of resolution, which I don't see happening prior to the 11th, as it's been multiple years, I think this is the best solution as well. We don't want the statute of limitations or anything to become an issue on this account.
Jessica and Andrew, are the fees in line with what's, the industry standard?
I think
Yeah.
so, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and I think that their name carries weight, and will do so with this specific account, the first one that we're trying out. And I don't know how specific we want to get, but I mean, I've not completely lost hope that there might be some kind of resolution prior to that, as we have a call tomorrow actually with this this taxpayers council. So there could be a resolution prior to that, but this is to protect our legal recourse should that not come to a resolution. And like I said, this has been multiple years with this specific account. And given the state of everything with COVID, we are a bit behind in terms of our general legal collections. So I think this is a way for the ones that have already gotten multiple notices that have a large established balance for us to make sure that we're doing right by those for the city, county, and schools as well, to try and stop that gap that we've all discussed about lost collections. So it seems like it fits multiple different solutions that we need.
I make the motion to accept the letter of engagement from Sturgill Turner for the purpose of providing legal advice and representation to the Revenue Commission.
I think, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Judge. You got a motion pending. One thing I wanted to add is, I'm not sure if it's the next line item or it's just part of this, but what we anticipated doing was setting a limit and saying, all right, I think we said $10,000 cap on legal fees. And I really don't anticipate us exhausting that. But if we do, we would come back to you for more approval.
Yeah, I've got this listed as 2 items. Do we need
Okay.
separate approvals, Andrew?
Not necessarily, but the judge has already made his motion. We can just have another one too.
I don't care to, Andrew, I don't care to withdraw the motion or amend the motion to reflect that we approve the letter of engagement with up to a X amount of dollars.
Right.
And I would certainly love to, value what dollar amount you all think we ought to set. But this is a large amount of money. This is money well spent if we have to go that route. And I think we're being good stewards of dollars that we have to,
I believe that the 10,000 would get us through all of the initial casework, the filing of the complaint, any negotiations that we do, I don't know, it wouldn't get us through discovery or anything like that, but I think it will get us as far as we need to get for now. And then Jessica and I might even be able to take over from that point.
And I will, as currently we sit, it's at almost 440,000 that we've established. So we tried to be mindful of, which one we would pursue with the most legal research that we've done on it. And we feel very confident in the position of the Revenue Commission in terms of collecting that through an ultimate resolution. So I think it's a good use of those funds for sure.
And the only thing I would add is that as a practical matter, I propose that we handle this the same way we handled the relocation expenses last month. In addition to our normal expense check that we deposit into our expense account, we would do a one-time $10,000, I guess, retainer, if you would call it, where we would do one additional check this month of $10,000 so that those funds are already available when Sturgill Turner starts billing us.
Right.
And I think it's important to know that this will be after we've exhausted internal efforts. So they would have already received multiple rounds of notice before we would kind of outsource them to Sturgill Turner.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Just before we vote, I would say that since we have decided that it is not our policy to go after the employees that had these funds deducted from our paycheck, we have an absolute obligation to go after the vendor. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Thank you. Scott, I guess that gets us down to office relocation updates.
Yes, did not send you, one of the attachments I did not send you was the spreadsheet with the cost. None of that has changed, but I did want to give you an update on a couple of bullet point items just verbally here. The general contractor has indicated that he's projecting an estimated completion date of the end of February at the latest. And the reason they were hedging on that was because they didn't know how long it would take the state inspector because of the size of this property. It's the state building inspectors that have to come inspect it. Well, they came very quickly, much more quickly than was originally anticipated. And that happened last week. So we have our permit and we're very pleased about that. And I'm going to share with you now, we get these weekly from the GC, and it's got some photos here, kind of gives us an update. And of course here, the permit was approved, the last item here on 121, some electrical work, and they always include some photos. I've been over there several times speaking with the project lead and some of the subs. A lot of drywall dust, but all of the old walls are down, and the new design that they proposed is constructed and up. And now that we've got the permit, we're going to continue to move on with some of the changes. But I wanted to share this with you, just kind of give you some eyes on what the status is. And it is coming right along and looking exactly like we thought it would in terms of how the new space is going to be structured. So we're very pleased and very excited. Anybody have any questions about the update from the contractor? Hearing none, I'll tell you that just wanted to bring it to your attention as we're getting close here that we will need obviously to close for a few days when we make this move. The movers will have to get packed up. The movers will have to move us. I've already had our account manager from Sophisticity VC3, who's been in there a couple of times with me, and we have a plan and a timeline of how that all is going to work, because we're going to have 2 VPN tunnels, one back here to the Development Services building to access our servers, and another one to City Hall to access the PRIs for our VoIP telephone system. And that's an interesting segue to bring you up to speed on some issues we've had with our phone system. We started having problems during the quarantine in December when we had to shut down for 2 weeks with our phone system. Long and short of it is it's a 25 to 30-year-old system, and the database is corrupted, and the phones are doing all kinds of very strange things. After almost 3 full days of our local vendor working on it, they were unable to come up with a resolution and were as baffled by it as we are. So I got with Andrew, he swung into action, and essentially what we did is we moved up the timetable for the VoIP vendor, which we've already approved for the new space. They came in, they've deployed new phones on our desk. We've got new phone numbers. We're getting training on that because quite literally the old phone system could die at any time. I mean, it's really kind of a frightening situation. So now everybody has a new phone deployed. We're working through some of the kinks. The silver lining is when we move to the new space, we'll just disconnect the old phones, take the new phones over there, and that'll be one less thing we'll have to work the kinks out of for the most part, because we will have already become familiar with the new phone system here. So that's the silver lining to that. But I did want to make you aware of that one aspect of the move that just kind of got moved up rather quickly due to circumstances that we did not anticipate. Any questions about the relocation project?
Exciting. Looks nice.
It is very exciting.
The signs look good. I saw your signs.
Yes. Yes, I also did include that. Let's see if I can pull that up. Of course, we're going to need to change the phone number. Bear with me here. Operator error.
While you're pulling that up, I'll talk about the phone numbers. We worked. We had a lot of conversations with a lot of different people, but basically, Revenue Commission is coming onto our phone system and trying to port their existing phone numbers onto our system was possible, but it was going to make things very difficult. And it was going to call into question the move timeline. So we just decided we got time. We'll give them a whole bank of our phone numbers. That we have so many hundred spare phone numbers. We're just going to port them onto that, and Scott will have time to advertise a new phone number, and it will continue to work right up to the move. But
And that also, we're all really excited about being on the city block because that means we can interdepartmental transfer, which we've never been able to do. So that will save taxpayers a lot of frustration because sometimes they'll call and we have to give them another number. And now we'll be able to simplify all of that as well. So that's kind of a bonus to what is a little bit of, an unexpected change.
Yes, and we've definitely taken a step into the 21st century with these phones. We've got voicemail to email, which is just a tremendous item. And we had some training from the engineer last week, and there's lots of bells and whistles with these things. We're going to be able to do a lot of things. So it's really a step up for us. We're excited. It's kind of rough how we got there. And, I'll just add that, another complicating factor is that our current phone vendor, AT&T, was, shall we say, less than cooperative in this process. It's been somewhat of a nightmare, frankly, but we got to work around. It's going to work, and we're excited with what the end result is going to be.
All right. Any other questions concerning the office project? Scott, then are there items for a general discussion that we need to touch on?
Let's see here. There it is. So this is our standard updates that we do every month. It requires no board action. Of course, we're after the quarantine. We are back to AB rotation that's in use. I've got your December tax collection numbers here. As you can see, we're down a little under 15%, about 690,000. But I'll remind you that we were up 1.3 million in November. It's been kind of hard 2020 doing a year-over-year, month-by-month analysis just because of the way things have gone. One thing I did add that I thought might provide some clarity is that I haven't done before. I went ahead and did a year-over-year look at the last 6 months of 2020 as compared to the last 6 months of 2019, and we are up overall just under 3%, about $638,000. I would caution you not to get too excited about that and remind you that what happened in 2020 is a lot of the net profit returns that would have been filed in April were not due until July, which fell in this fiscal year. But it is positive, and I did want to share that with you that I went ahead and did that kind of a high level year over year. This is the thing to me that I find, I guess the word is astounding, is we still had 922 new businesses register with the Georgetown Scott County Revenue Commission in 2020. It is fewer than 2019, but frankly, I thought the 37 number would be much higher. And as you can see, we also had additional businesses closed over last year, which we also anticipated, but it was only 10. So we still, in a pandemic, averaged 77 new businesses per month opening during the year 2020. And I'm a little bit speechless by that. I think it says two things. I think it speaks to the strength of our local economy, and I think it speaks to the resilience of our community.
And I would add the effectiveness of our compliance too.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes. We've also taken a lot of steps. A lot of things are starting to fall into place in terms of our plans for a comprehensive compliance strategy, hitting on a lot of different levels, which we've shared with you in the past.
Yeah, I think that's an important factor that we can actually control, or some of these other things are out of our control.
It is indeed.
Good. Well, thank you for pointing out those specifics, Scott. Any questions for Scott or Jessica about that commissioner's report or other items?
I've just got a question. When you talk about the collection stats, are these just basically payroll because net profits won't come in till July now?
No, this is what was actually collected, net profits and payroll. I was just pointing out that, normally the bulk of our net profits are going to be filed in April or between April and May, which would have fallen in the last fiscal year. Our fiscal year ends June 30th, 2020. So this year, a lot of those net profit filings, they were the IRS changed the filing deadline till July. So the net profit filings that we would have normally seen last year in 2019 appeared in 2020. And the truth of the matter is, with the executive order, we were not charging penalty and interest to help out the taxpayers. So, they kind of filed them whenever they wanted to. But most people adhered to the deadline. And as Jessica pointed out, we also had pretty robust compliance efforts going on throughout this as well. So that helped as well.
So we shouldn't see that bump again till basically 2021. I mean, July 2021.
No, as of right now, the filing deadline for 2021 is April 15th, unless the IRS changes it. But keep in mind, those net profit filings are going to reflect tax year 2020, which we do not anticipate looking very good for obvious reasons.
I'm just waiting for that downfall. It's like
Yes,
anticipating, I guess.
we've done very well so far, but we're cautiously optimistic as we get into 2021.
Sounds good. Other items for general discussion? Sounds like we've exhausted them this morning. Judge, anything in particular that you've got on your mind this morning?
No, sir. I appreciate the details. And, that waiting for the shoe to drop, kind of like what Gina was talking about. That keeps me. There's things that we need to be talking about doing, and it just, I feel like I'm on pause. You feel like that, Mayor, or
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the last question, Judge.
well, just talking about, starting to look at next year's budget and trying to make decisions about things that could, that might need to be done. And I worry about the shoe to drop, kind of like what Gina's talking about, and just makes me feel like I'm on pause.
Yeah, we've got so much stuff that's kind of pent up because we've been trying to resolve some of these issues that I think this new budget for both city, county, and school system is going to be a real challenge. Making projections that we feel confident enough in to base spending on. I think this is going to be a fascinating spring for us, Scott.
Yes, I agree. And as I've shared before, the last significant economic downturn, I was at Louisville Metro, which was in 2008, 2009, 2010, when we saw that. And what we saw is that, at that point in time, there were a lot of layoffs. So we took a big hit in payroll, which we've really not seen so far here yet with this. But net profits is where we really saw it. It was the most pronounced. You had companies that were profitable in the prior year that had no net profit, or the amount of their net profit was so significantly diminished that the revenue was just significantly impacted on the net profits. It's always volatile, and we talk about that all the time with net profits. It's difficult in good times. In more consistent times, it's difficult to project what it's going to be from one year to the next, because you're talking about a lot of different businesses, a lot of different business sectors. They're reacting to economic situations that are, in some cases, only relevant to their particular industry. So it's difficult. It's a challenge. The state struggles with it. I mean, you see that all the time with the consensus forecasting group. It's almost inevitable that their projections will be off one way or another. We did not anticipate revenues to be so high, or we did not anticipate revenues to be so low, because there's only so much crystal ball you can apply to this without hard data, which companies are generally kind of reticent at sharing.
Yeah. And Scott, you're aware that we've been doing some analysis, and we're going to take a deeper dive into looking at net profits tax structure in the city with an awareness that I believe our net profits situation today puts an unfair burden on small to medium-sized businesses, and the tax burden is not fair and not proportional. I think small business is carrying an undue burden, and our biggest of big box stores are simply not carrying their burden. And I think that's a discussion that we're going to have on the city side, since we have an option to change that. County government does not have that option, but that is a conversation that the city's going to have very soon.
Yes, the audited financial statements that I presented to you a couple of months ago as a result of our independent external audit we have annually. And it stayed pretty much the same when we talked about this last year. The occupational, in the aggregate, the payroll tax receipts are 88% of the revenue that we collect is the payroll tax. Only 12% is from the net profits tax. So clearly that tells you on whose backs the occupational license tax burden is carried in this community.
And I think there's an equity issue that the council will need to explore. So we will appreciate your help and input with our analysis, and as we move forward on that.
Absolutely, anything I can do.
One other positive was yesterday I saw advertisements on social media by Toyota where they were hiring full-time production team members. So anytime we're adding jobs, that's a positive.
Yeah, like I said, our community has been very fortunate. Others are not as fortunate as we are. We have a good, strong basic economy, and we have a very resilient community. And as Jessica pointed out as well, you've got a revenue commission here that's very focused on trying to close the tax gap here and get the money in that we need get them collected and get them distributed to you as quickly as possible.
Scott, there was a time when, as you know, there was a time when we couldn't state with certainty what our tax cap was. We at least now have the administrative capacity to identify all of this and for you all to put in measures to help protect us. So I think the Revenue Commission and staff, primarily its staff, have really completed a rebuild that had we not done, we'd have been in dire straits today.
Well, I appreciate that. And my pledge to you is not only to continue that upward trajectory, but to also continue to provide you with a level of detail that you have not had in the past, and continue to improve on what we are presenting to you now, because good decisions are made when you have good data. And you obviously need anything and everything we can give you as you make these difficult decisions moving forward regarding the budgetary challenges that everyone in local government faces.
Thank you. I see our next called meeting will be February the 24th at 10 a.m. Is there anything else to come before the Revenue Commission this morning, Scott or Andrew or Jessica?
I have nothing else.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Judge. We've been waiting for that one. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you.
Andrew, I'll plan on seeing you at 11.
11 o'clock.
Thank you
I
very
sent
much.
you a new Zoom invite.
Okay. See you
All right.
guys.